Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving right into a cinematic mystery that honestly hits way too close to home for almost all of us. We're going to figure out why we aggressively avoid the very things we want to achieve the most.
Picture this for a second, an extreme close-up of an eye, and in its reflection, there's a clock. It's ticking impossibly fast, just a total blur, until suddenly it stops dead. And then you're falling backward into a dark, heavy sea. It's a terrifying yet deeply familiar feeling, right? Why do we do this? Why do we sabotage our own success and just completely freeze up when we know exactly what we need to do?
Well, as our source material perfectly puts it, the human mind is a masterpiece of contradiction. To help us untangle this really profound internal conflict, we're going to follow a metaphorical stand-in. Let's call him Malik. Think of Malik as representing you, me, and our incredibly human, incredibly exhausting struggle with procrastination.
Section 1. The Myth of Laziness. Imagine Malik standing in a dimly lit, minimalist room. Let's call it the Obsidian Study. Now, Malik desperately needs to work at his mahogany desk. But instead, what is he doing? He's standing over in the corner, nervously adjusting a curtain, holding this heavy glass orb filled with thick black liquid. We'll call this the chronosphere. It perfectly represents that heavy, inescapable weight of time and avoidance.
You know, society looks at Malik avoiding his desk and immediately slaps a judgmental label on him. He's just lazy. But as our source points out, calling it laziness is a lie. It's just a lie we tell to simplify a much deeper conflict. We need to completely dismantle that idea right now. Calling someone lazy is a massive oversimplification, and honestly, it masks the very real, very intense internal struggle that's actually raging inside us when we put off our work.
Section 2. Managing Moods, Not Time.
Okay, to really grasp this, we need to leave the cold, dark study behind and step into the hall of unfinished stone.
Think of this space as an infinite, cold blue gallery filled with all of your half-carved statues, your abandoned goals, the half-written emails, those books you bought but never actually read. Now, as Malik reaches out to touch one of these unfinished statues, a figure emerges from the shadows. The source introduces this entity as the Shadow Architect. It's this faceless, smoky figure. But here's the twist. Instead of attacking Malik, it does something fascinating. It gently covers his eyes. See, the Shadow Architect represents our emotional avoidance. It's a terrifying presence, sure, but it's oddly comforting too because it steps in to protect us from the sheer pain and stress of looking at all our unfinished work.
This visual completely reframes how we should understand our own delays. I mean, we are constantly sold the idea that time management is the ultimate cure. We're told, hey, if you just buy a better planner or download this new calendar app, you'll finally stop procrastinating. But look at mood management. That is where the real battle is actually taking place.
And here is the critical, beat-drop truth of the matter. Procrastination isn't about time management. It's about mood management. Think about it. When you avoid a task, you aren't managing your time poorly. You're actually trying to repair a negative mood that the task itself caused. Whether it's anxiety, frustration, or self-doubt, your brain is just retreating to something safe, like binge-watching a show or suddenly deciding to do the dishes just to feel better in the short term. Let that knowledge sink in. It normalizes the struggle and lifts that heavy burden of guilt right off your shoulders.
Section 3. The Brain's Alarm System.
All right, let's map this poetic metaphor directly onto actual human biology.
Because who exactly is that Shadow Architect living inside your head? That faceless, smoky figure is actually your amygdala. Yes, your brain's ancient alarm system. For millions of years of evolution, its entire job has been to keep you safe from immediate, life-threatening danger. But here's the catch. In our modern world, that protective nature becomes suffocating. Your amygdala honestly can't tell the difference between a physical predator in the wild and an incredibly intimidating spreadsheet.
Let's break down this biological clash. On one side, you have the prefrontal cortex. The source brilliantly visualizes this as a golden neural spark. This is the logical, rational, planning part of your brain that knows, hey, I desperately need to finish this project. But on the other side is the amygdala, visualized as a red eruption of fear and protection. When you experience stress about a task, that red eruption of the amygdala completely overpowers and shatters the logical golden spark. Your logic is literally hijacked by fear.
And what does that red eruption look like in real life? Well, it looks exactly like Malik, suddenly snapping out of a trance, staring blankly at the blue glow of his phone.
Come on, we've all experienced this, right? You sit down to work, you feel a sudden spike of negative emotion, your amygdala takes over to protect you, and the next thing you know, you're paralyzed, doom-scrolling on social media, completely unsure of how you even got there.
You have to remember this. Your brain's ancient alarm system perceives that project as a literal threat. You are not broken. This is not some massive character flaw. It's just a biological self-protection mechanism that is acting totally out of place. Your brain is simply prioritizing immediate emotional safety over your long-term productivity.
Section 4. The Fear of Failure. Let's slow down for a second and imagine Malik looking into a mirror in that dimly lit study. But the reflection staring back at him, it isn't quite right. His reflection is wearing a crumbling crown of dust. It's a haunting image that represents the decay of human potential.
If we never finish, we can never fail. Wow. Let that linger for a moment. Perfectionism and the deep, deep fear of failure. Those are the true roots of procrastination. Think about it. If that statue remains uncarved in the hall of unfinished stone, no one can ever look at it and tell you it's a bad statue. As long as it remains just potential, your ego is completely safe. It's only when we finally finish things and put them out into the real world that we make ourselves vulnerable.
Section 5. How to just begin. Let's get back to Malik. He finally returns to his desk. But this time, he doesn't try to fight the smoky entity. Instead, he reaches out and actually holds the shadow architect's hand. And in that beautiful moment of acceptance, the smoke finally dissolves into mist. The solution is not to fight yourself. It is to acknowledge the fear without letting it drive. This is absolutely crucial. We can't banish fear entirely. I mean, your amygdala is literally part of your brain. It's not going anywhere. We just have to stop letting it control the steering wheel. You can let the anxiety ride shotgun, but it absolutely does not get to touch the pedals. So, how do we actually do this? Step 1, acknowledge the fear. Step 2, take the wheel. Step 3, just begin. As Malik moves through these exact steps, he picks up his glowing stylus to finally, actually write. We have to remember that motivation doesn't just magically appear out of thin air to cause action. It's the other way around. Action is what creates motivation. And when action replaces fear, something amazing happens. The heavy black liquid of the chronosphere turns into clear, still water. This perfectly illustrates that profound mental clarity that hits the exact moment we step out of isolation and avoidance and into a sun-drenched landscape of action. Because let's be honest, the agonizing anticipation of the work is almost always worse than doing the work itself. Listen, if you take only one thing away from this entire explainer, please let it be this. The work doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to begin. You have to give yourself the grace to make a complete mess. Taking that very first step, no matter how small or unpolished it is the ultimate victory over your brain's ancient alarm system. We've gone on quite a journey today, from busting the myth of laziness right down to dissolving the shadows that are holding you back. So, I want to leave you with one final question to chew on. What unfinished stone are you going to start carving today?